Hey everyone, Dominic here with the Raving Hordes Game Club in Saskatoon. This time, it's Game 1 of Plains War 2019. This here is a local tournament that we held. It was a 2-day, 5-game event. We were fortunate enough to have a full 20 players make it, so this one also qualifies this year for the US Masters. Like I said, this was a 5-game. Game 1 here was against my Vampire Covenant versus a Vermin Swarm. And I believe the game type we played was, what was it? It was Marching Columns with Breakthrough as the secondary, I believe is what we played. So let's get right into it. Quick look at the deployment for Vermin Swarm. He's got some, sorry, I'm going to get these names wrong. I believe footpads, some giant rats. He's got some plague disciples, I believe. Rat swarms, another unit of footpads. He's got a unit of storm vermin with the bell, with his general in there. Next to that, he's got a unit of plague disciples, I believe they are, or plague brotherhood, with the plague pendulum. He's got another unit back here of the plague disciples, and then finally the two dread mills. For my deployment, I've got a unit of Barrow Knights, Banner Musician, Black Coach, a unit of Barrow Guard with a Barrow King BSB in there. They've got the full command and hand weapon shield build with a Legion standard. Over here we've got a unit of skeletons with hand weapon shield. In that unit there is my Vampire General. He's Independent Bloodline, True Thirst, Legend of the Black King, and Wizard Master of Occultism. And lastly, he's got the Flying Horror upgrade. Next to that is another unit of skeletons. These ones are halberds. In that unit is 2 apprentice necromancers, no other gear. No command on this unit either. Next to that, I've got a unit of skeleton spearmen, full command. Both the sword and board skellies and the spear skellies have the Legion standard. In this unit, there's also a banshee. And then I have a unit of wraiths, and lastly, 4 giant bats. So this is kind of what the table looks like as we go into turn 1. So Vermin Swarm got the first turn. They kind of start moving up here a little bit. They got the ranged ability, but he knows that I've got ranks and lots of summons, so rings the bell and goes into magic. He does the Hand of Heaven to cause hits to the wraiths, which I let go off, I believe. Kills off 4 of them. And then he goes and brings a Wrath of God token down. He miscast on this one, and he was going to lose it for the rest of the game, so I let him have it. Goes to shooting, tries to shoot, and misses over here. That's what the table looks like as we go into turn 1 for the Vampire Covenant. So part of my units are moving up real slow. Pretty much right over top the Wrath of God token there. The Barrow Knights went sideways. And that's pretty much it. We go into magic. We do a Rise over here. I think I did this a couple times just to beef up these guys' numbers. And that's pretty much it. I was too far away for any shooting, so that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 2. Moves up his line pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy here. It goes into magic. And I forget what happened over here. I believe he lowered these guys' resilience, and I let him have it. did the, I think it was the Hand to Heaven again. Tried to stop it, but it still went off, killed another dude. And then he did the Hereditary spell, caused more damage, and just down to 1 Wraith now. The shooting, I believe he does a little bit of shooting at some skeletons over here with the footpads. Doesn't really cause any damage. Shoots at the bats, causes a few wounds there. Shoots over here, and I don't think he caused any wounds, if I remember correctly. But that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 2 for Vampire Covenant. So we declare a charge here. This is a 18-inch charge, and these guys have got the banner of swiftness. So I figured I'd try it out. They fail it though. These bats, they just move up right in front of these footpads to chaff, I guess. I'm not really certain what I was doing here, what my plan was, but we threw them up right in front. And the rest of these units kind of just get set up here, just kind of waiting for the first charge to come in. We go into magic phase. We do try and get the Dead Arise to put a unit in front of him here. He doesn't like that, so he stops it. And then we do a Pentagram of Pain on these rats over here. Knock off a couple wounds. Actually, I think this was only here. We did 1 wound to those disciples, I think. And we do the Hand of Glory. In my movement phase, the vampire hopped over to this unit. Hand of Glory gets the sacrifice on there too, so they all have a 5-up ward. And the comet, I believe, didn't come down. So that's pretty much it as we go into turn 3 for the Vermin Swarm. So these guys both go into those bats. Can't do anything. The Dreadmill declares a charge against the Knights. These guys make it in. Oh, I missed this one over here. Both this unit, this Dreadmill, no, this Dreadmill did not. So these Disciples and the Brotherhood with the Pendulum all go into the Barrel Guard. This one fails. These guys make it. And these 2 units both make it in. I was kind of hoping only one of them would, but I think this is still okay. He moves up some Rat Swarm there to kind of get in my way and block. And he goes into magic. He does Breath of Corruption, which I believe I stopped. And then he got Smite the Unbeliever. And I believe he tried to lower my resilience in this one. I think that one also was stopped. And then he cast the Hand of Glory, and that one went off. This round, the Comet, I think, did go down, kills off some skeletons, and gets rid of his chaff. Luckily, my last remaining Wraith was out of range, so he was alive. Goes into shooting. His other Dreadmill picks off a Knight. And then, I forget what this was. I believe this was the Warp Lightning Cannon that I totally forgot to mention earlier. That's on his backfield. It wiped out that Wraith that was hiding out back here. We go into combat. He wipes out the Great Bats and does a pile of wounds to the Barrel Guard. But after being stubborn, we've got, I think, 4 rank and file guys left and the BSB. So that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 3 for Vampire Covenant. And coincidentally enough, the turn where I make a tactical mistake. So here we go with the Barrow Knights going to the flank of those Plague Disciples. And I declare the charge in the front here with the Black Coach. And I should not have declared this charge here. I'll find a why in just a sec. These guys declared, just the Banshee declares a charge here to try and terror out these guys. And I believe these guys fail and they go off the board. We can just make this charge into those ones. Try that one. They pass their leadership and stick around. That's what that looks like. And beyond that, my other 2 skeleton blocks just kind of move up to get into better position to help out. We go into magic. We raise some of the barrel guard back. Not a whole lot though. And I think that was pretty much it for magic. I don't think much else happened here. But we go into combat, and I wipe out the plague disciples, I think they're down to, I think, like 2 or 3 guys. And I win this whole combat by about 13. But what I didn't know is with the bell, this unit's actually stubborn. Had I known that, I definitely would not have put these skeleton sword and board guys in there. Because now I've just opened up the flank and a whole lot of combat res for them. So these guys broke, we chased them down, and we went right into the dread mill back here. Look like that. And I reform to just 2 by, I guess, just 2 wide, just to get as far away from that dread mill as possible as well. I don't need it coming in the flank, just in case. And yeah, that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 4 for the Vermin Swarm. So like I said, these Plague Disciples got a lovely flank charge here. They make it in, of course. And the rest of the stuff, these footpads are trying to get back into the deployment zone for the secondary. And these guys here are just kind of sitting up their reserves as his Storm Vermin unit with the bell is now running away. We go into magic phase. I forget what happened here in the magic phase. I think there was a single wound put on that from Hand of Heaven, and that was pretty much it. I think he was trying to do the ward save on these guys as well. He tried to do debuff my guys in some sort of a way. I believe he got these guys down in resilience this turn. We go into combat. Actually, it looks like he got a spell off on this unit too. I'm not remembering which one it was, but we go into this combat here first. I did 3 wounds to him, and he wipes the unit out. Sorry, I guess this is shooting. Both these footpads, get some lucky shots off, kill off that Banshee. Like I said, in the combat there, I did 3 wounds to him, but he wipes out the unit. And then we went to this one, and like I said, it was a bit of a disaster. The Plague Disciples absolutely go to town on the skeletons, crumble down to just 4 guys, 4 rank and file, crumbled out the Black Coach and the rest of the Barrow Guard as well as the Barrow King. So that one kind of hurt, but that's where we're at. He kind of reforms there as well to go 3 by 3 and changes his arc to face me. I guess this is the start of Vampire Covenant turn 4. We declare this charge into the flank here to go and try and help out with only 4 guys. I'll just take the loss on them and hopefully I can do something else over here. We fail that charge, of course. Go into magic phase. This is kind of what things are looking like. We raise up that unit back up since I've didn't make my flank charge. And then we did the number 5, I forget what it is. The single hit with D3 wounds to knock off the Dreadmill. We go into the combat. He wipes the skeleton block out this time and just reforms on the spot to face, or pivots on the spot to face. And that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 5. So turn 5 here, this is kind of where he's at. I think he declared both these charges, and just the Disciples make it in, like so. The Bell is still reforming on the spot and moving back. The one unit of footpads has gotten into the deployment zone over here, and the other Dreadmill is coming over back to take some shots. Goes into magic phase, and I forget which one he did here. Lowered their resilience, I believe. I think he just did the random one and that's what he got. It goes into combat. I think there was a bit of shooting there actually, but in this combat here, he starts to whittle away at me, and I do very little damage back to him. So I lose a few more. You can see he did 2 wounds to one necromancer, one wound to another. For my turn, I really don't have a whole lot of movement. I'm not charging into this thing because now that I know a little bit more about it and what it's got, I don't think there's any way of me killing it to break it stubborn. It'll just grind me out now that my battery unit is gone. So what I decide to do here is just position in a way where I can try and do the Aura Pentagram of Pain and try and knock off as much as I can here. Currently this unit's not in my deployment zone, but this one is. So that's what that looks like. We go into magic and we raise up a bunch of skeletons, help out over here, stop the Pentagram of Pain, of course. We go into combat. He kills both necromancers this turn, but I actually managed to do some wounds. So he's down to, I think, 3 or 4 guys. And that's what it looks like. As we go into turn 6 for Vermin Swarm. For him, he moves that Dreadmill back out of range of any potential damage. He's way far back with this unit, and then he pivoted on the spot and moved sideways to get like half an inch into my deployment zone with this unit as well. But other than that, that's pretty much it for movement. He goes into magic. I believe he cast a spell on these guys to lower their resilience, and I think he got off the spell to give them a ward save over here as well. I didn't really care about either of them because I have no intention of going into that. And we fight this combat. I knock him down to just 1 rat, and I think it was a push. That's what the table looks like as we go into turn 6 for the Vampire Covenant. Again, my vampire moves out, seeing as there's no risk here. He's within range of all of this stuff for a Pentagram of Pain. We go into magic phase. We did the single hit with D3 wounds, and he stopped it, which was kind of surprising. He used his Dispel Dice to stop that one. And then I did the Aura Pentagram of Pain. And I figured if I could do this, knock off some wounds here, knock off some wounds here, they'll flee this way off the table, at least a few more victory points last turn. What ends up happening, I kill off a skeleton, 2 skeletons here, his last Plague Disciple. We roll the dice for this unit. I only roll a 1, followed by a 1 to wound, and kind of have a little chuckle about it. Roll the dice for this one, and I roll a 1 for hits, and I roll a 1 for wounds. So, not much you could do at the end of that. But yeah, that's kind of what the table looks like at the end of turn 6. It was a pretty big rout there for the Vermin Swarm. Like I said, about turn 3 there where I made that flank charge, it really shouldn't have, but you learn. So yeah, we did up the points at the end of that. It turned out to be a 19-1 for the Vermin Swarm at the end there. So not a real good start to the tournament, but hope you guys enjoyed the battle. Stay tuned for the next one.